What's going on, everybody? This is New Religion versus Lethal Team. This is a game inside the association. So, to clarify, the association is like the entire brand. That's where all these different games are going to be, like Madden, 2K, probably FIFA, Fortnite. All these different games are going to be inside the association. The actual league name is the Morgan League. If you see the two symbols up there up top, if you when the camera flips, you'll see the Morgan League proudly represented. Now, when it comes to the Morgan League, there is another league out there called the Morgan League. I'm actually in partnership with the guy that runs that league. All right, the goal is to eventually combine the two leagues into one, so we can have a bigger brand and more teams, things of that nature. But the way it's set up right now is in his league, it's essentially teams that are beginners. It's a free league. You come out there and just get some games in, match up against other teams, a little season going on, cool. And my league is actually more competitive. It's you pay, bring your own team, damn near winner take all. But the way I'm setting it up is you will have a chance to win inside whatever tier that you're in. So essentially, inside the Morgan League, I want to feature 30 teams, just like the NBA. But the way the pay scales will work is like tier one, which would be the teams that make the playoffs. Y'all competing for the top prize. Teams that's kind of in like that play-in scenario. Y'all compete for tier two, and then everybody else will compete for tier three. But essentially, no matter how good or bad your team is, you will have a chance to win something. And playing in this style of format, if you are a bad team, you'll have a chance to come out and get better. Alright, the best way to get better at playing 2K is to play against teams that are better than you consistently. The more you do that and the more you get exposed to that type of competition, you start to watch and see what these teams are doing. You get to listen to the chat, watch videos such as mine, and you will become a better team, I promise you. I'm not saying you're going to win. Don't confuse the two. But you will get better the more you play and the more you focus in on this one particular thing. With that being said, New Religion has two superstars. These are two guys that were featured in the top 25 of the league, and that is Ghost and Mexico. Ghost is a shooting guard, but he's essentially playing the one for New Religion. You're going to see him, he's 6'1", maneuvering through the pick and roll. And then Massacode is just center, who is, in my opinion, the best big man in the league. I don't really think it's close at this point. What he's been able to do by averaging 5 assists, he gets 8 points, and he gets about 13 rebounds right now. Right now we're in a back-to-back, so every time we play from here on out, we're playing back-to-back. The game I actually wanted to show y'all was the second game as opposed to the first game, because in that second game in the first quarter, we were down 28-4 at the end of one. And I had to tell my team, look, man, we down. This quarter is what it is. We got to put it behind us and focus in. And that game was a really good game. That's the actual game I wanted to show. This game, though, same thing. So they're ranked third in the league. We're ranked second. The first time we was matching up against them was week one. In week one, neither one of us could find the time to play, could not get the scheduling right. So we flipped the coin. They got the win. And because they got that win, they essentially are the only other team that beat us this season. The other loss being Trey Bounce, who is still currently undefeated. So, in my opinion, the way I've been looking at the league, it's supposed to be me and Trey Bounce in the finals. I don't think when I started this that it was kind of set up to be that, but I understood that that was a strong possibility. I no longer feel like that anymore. I do believe Trey Bounce will be in the finals, especially with the playoffs coming up next week. All right, this is the last week of the regular season. Now, after this game is played, we're currently in the last week of the regular season, and I still don't think nobody is going to beat Trey Bounce based off what I've seen, just personally. They are the best team. They have the league's best player, and to my understanding, it's going to be a unanimous MVP decision. The only other person close to him in that regard is yours truly, but I'm man enough to admit it. I have not had a better season. My numbers are not that far off, but you factor in the fact that his team is undefeated in Ox Eric Trend, and Trey Bonds is the #1 team, and like I'm telling you, that team is phenomenal. I think that team is actually going to be the team to go ahead and hoist the Morgan League trophy at the end of the season. From there, I think who's going to play them in the finals is the more telling question. To be honest, I'm going to keep it honest with y'all. It's 3 teams I think can play them in the finals. It's us, obviously, because we're the second best team. But this team right here, New Religion, they definitely have a chance of playing in the finals. Now, I don't think the games would be close if they played, but their style is good enough to beat us. Especially if we're going to play the way we played in this back-to-back series that we played against them. And then, I hate to... So, it's them. I also have Unrestricted. Unrestricted is a team that features Ace, who has been a former league MVP in another league. So, he's somebody that definitely can carry his team, especially coming up through the playoffs. And I hate to admit it, but Ball and Peace is the last team I think has a good chance of making it to the finals. Now, out of all those teams, Ball and Peace is like the least threat. To be honest with y'all, I'm just being honest, I'm pretty sure they gonna fuck up their chance of of making it to the finals just by like doing some stupid rule violation. I promise you. Like, so they are the least threat, but they do have enough talent to compete. Now, I don't think they can necessarily beat us. I don't think they can beat New Religion. Now, I damn sure know they can't beat Unrestricted, because Unrestricted has their number, but I mean, those are the only 3 teams I really see a threat making it to the finals, as I do believe Trey Bonds will be the best team at the end of the season. Now, when it comes to us 2 teams, they run a 4-1 pick and roll. Beautiful floor space, and I always emphasize floor spacing because everybody don't do it. Essentially, if you look at my team right now, we did a bad job of floor spacing this particular game. But they run a 4-1 pick and roll. Black Optimus is a shooting guard that doesn't miss anything. Ghost is a shooting guard who doesn't miss anything, as you see him knock down the 3 there. And like I said, this center, Massicote, best big in the game. I was wondering how he was averaging 5 assists per game, but you're going to see it all throughout the game. Just pay attention to it. He's going to get defensive rebounds, and when he gets it, he's going to fling it all the way down the court for a wide open layup or a wide open 3-pointer. And that's essentially how he gets his assists. And playing that way, to be honest with you, they run it so well that I believe if he wanted to, he could average a triple-double. Now, again, I haven't seen them play, and this was my first time actually getting a good look at them. But nah, they are as advertised, and that's one thing I like about having the stats and the records and the notification to know who's a superstar, who's good, who's not. Because like when you see the names pop up on the screen, especially if you look at the top 25 list, you kind of know, okay, these 2 players or these 3 players are going to be a problem. These are the people that you do need to look out for. Like, if you look at my team based off the top 25 list, the only other player that's on there, that's on the floor right now, is D-Mac. I think D-Mac is like 22nd. But nonetheless, he's a top 25 player, so at least when they look at us, they see my name. I'm the 2nd ranked player. D-Mac is the 22nd ranked player. It's like, okay, they do got 2 guys that, you know, prove their worth that you have to look out for. And I think D-Mac did a great job this game of just knocking down timely shots. Defense could have been a lot better, because at one point he was averaging like 3 steals per game. I didn't see that same impact this particular game. And that's the beautiful thing about playing in the league. You have to step it up and prove it every single game. Prove why you are deserving of that ranking. So it was going to be a good game. Their center, Maxico, he's ranked 5th. And I believe Ghoster shooting guard, he's ranked 7th. So like they have like 2 top 10 players playing versus me, who's ranked 2nd, and D-Mac, who's ranked 22nd. So that's important to know. But you see how he's able to fling that ball out there and get them easy points. That's how he's averaging 5 assists per game, and it's a great thing. Like I said, you see these different styles, see the different way teams play, and you get to improve upon it week after week, game after game. So this was a fun one. This will be a very competitive thing. I don't know if we actually play against them in like the conference finals or not. But as of right now, they are the team that I think will match up against in the conference final. If I had to just take a random guess. The third ranked team, like I said, is New Religion, but the team after them was supposed to be, what is that? Give me a second, I gotta look it up because I think they just dropped out the league. It is what it is, it happens, but Crazy Work. Crazy Work was essentially the other team I had as a dark horse, but I believe they dropped out. I'm not sure right now, and it happens, like when you get into these leagues and everything, teams that tend to lose, it's harder to keep them. Alright, nobody ever worries about the teams that's winning every game and having a good time. It's the teams that lose. You know, things start to come up, personal things start to come up. Team is fighting, and it's like you get to that point, it's just not worth playing anymore. I always understand when teams drop out, because when we first started doing leagues and stuff, when we was winning, everybody was like locked into it, and then once we started losing, it's like people quit caring. And so the next piece I want to go into is just investing. This league that we doing this season, and I do plan for the league to be pretty pricey, alright? The league that we in only costs $20 to play. What I essentially told the captains was, I need y'all to make everybody on your team invest. Which was pretty much like if you had 10 people, it cost you $2 per person. If you only had 5 people, then it was going to cost you $4 per person. That's how it was going to cost you, $4. But I wanted everybody on the roster to invest. I didn't want to do it by person. I think that's harder to recruit that way. And then it's like, this is bring your own team. I don't want no excuses as to why you lost. I don't want to be like, well, you put me on this sorry team and all that. Nah, I don't want none of that. I don't want no excuses. You bring your own team, so if you're on the roster, you're on the roster. I expect you to invest as an individual. I'm pushing that to the captains because I understand now how to make this whole thing work. Just based on my personal experience and being in these different leagues before. When I quit out the league, I was the only person that paid. Now I'm pretty sure when it comes down to Crazy Work, their team captain might have been the only person that paid. What happens is, if you're the only person that paid, as long as you're winning, your team is invested. Once you start losing, your team is going to look at it like, well, this league doesn't matter. I didn't put nothing into it. So there's no reason for me to keep playing. And then you as an individual feel like you wasted $20. You're not going to get that $20 back from your team. I seriously doubt. If you do, I guarantee you that team ain't going to still be together. So I have highly encouraged moving forward that all team captains get their entire team to invest. No matter what it is, the $2, $3, $4, however much it is, the more people you have on the roster, the cheaper it gets. But essentially, eventually, this league will be $150 to enter into. Sounds like a lot because it is a lot. What we want to offer is a lot. All right, the stat tracker alone is, at least got to be worth 100, at least. It's a lot of work that goes into it. Keeping stats updated. You're talking about doing it for 30 teams. That at least got to be worth 100. And then, like I said, just to be a part of the culture and everything that's going on inside of it has to be worth something. So I want it to be that high because I don't want teams to be playing in any other leagues. I essentially want to make this a really big deal. And the only way to do that is to get everybody focused in on just this one. If the price is high enough and the price is right, That's what teams would do. Now that I've spoken my piece about that, let's get back into this game. As you can see, it's going back and forth. I hate games that go back and forth. I hate it. I cannot stand to be locked into a game and it's like neither team can find the opening or find like some way to branch the game open, especially if it's my team. From my experience, it's very easy to come back. Like once you figure them out, it's very easy to come back and get a win, or it's very easy to kind of maintain the lead if you can build a big enough lead. What is very hard is to be this bucket, that bucket, this bucket, that bucket, just going back and forth trading buckets, where essentially neither team can figure out the other team's style. That's what's very hard. And I think, playing this pick and roll style works for people that play against other pick and roll teams. And I think playing 5-out favors us when we play against other 5-out teams, because essentially it's like who's better at it. When it comes down to the defensive side of the ball, though, as you notice, it's harder for us to stay against teams that do pick and roll, because now instead of you just worrying about guarding one particular person, you got to fight through a screen, you got to hedge, you got to show, you got to do way more than what you would have to do if it was just man to man. And the same thing for them. Like, this person that's guarding me is used to guarding the guy with all the fancy dribble moves, and then once the screen comes, he just switch off to the person that's wrapping around. Against me, you got to sit there and take that ass whooping for 4 straight quarters. That is very hard to do when you're just used to having to defend for like 10 seconds. Now you got to defend for all 24 for 20 minutes of a ball game. That's hard to do. And to their credit, like I said, the guy defending me, he did a pretty good job. I think he's a very talented defender, to be honest with you. If his stats were a little bit better, I could consider him as a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. But to be a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, you have to do more than what I'm explaining to y'all, which is the eye test. Like, the eye test tells me, yes, he can be a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. But then you still have to contribute something on the offensive end, which this guy is only averaging less than 10 points per game. And then, like I said, you just got to make your presence felt. Like, how many steals are you averaging? Can you get a block? And then, like, what's the team success like? So it's a lot that goes into rankings. There's a lot that goes into who gets ranked where. There's a lot that goes into just being able to read the stats correctly. Because essentially, like I said, what he's doing defensively is great, but it's not going to show up on the stat sheet. It's not. Alright, me scoring on him, and I'm telling you, he's playing great defense. I score on everybody. I can be honest and say, okay, this guy's giving me a much tougher time scoring than essentially somebody on another team who might have a little bit better stats. Alright, so all those things are important. The eye test, your stats, and your team success. That's what goes into like everything that we do inside the association in the Morgan League. So essentially, if you can keep producing in all those facets of the game, you'll never have a problem. We're currently in the 4th quarter. It's 53-50, and like I said, it's just too tight of a ball game in my opinion. The spacing was just so bad. I couldn't pick on them the way I wanted to because of that. And for us as a team, all we can do is watch the film and figure out what the hell Lethal was talking about when I keep bringing up spacing. Like, if the floor is properly spaced, which I'm going to show y'all what I mean, because right now, essentially just the right side of the floor is properly spaced. But you'll see when this team brings the ball up the court. When the floor is properly spaced, that's why it's so hard to stop somebody doing something. And you see where they're on the left side, how close to the hash mark this shooter is? This is why it's so hard to stop their offense. Because when the floor is properly spaced, it gives the ball handler the most room to work without interruption. And when that happens, everything else is just a matter of what are you used to doing offensively. Again, you see the proper floor spacing by this shooting guard, so you have to respect where he's spaced at. So if he wants to run pick and roll, he's wide open to score, just as you saw there. He has the room to operate. Me, since I operate in the middle of the floor and I don't really take jump shots, if you look at my right side, it's just bad spacing right now. You know, I'm forcing myself to try to finish over 2 or 3 people just because I don't have the space to run around a defender. That's the difference. And our inability to defend the three-point line this game, I think, cost us more than anything. And like I said, it's just a lack of playing against this style. Right there, we did a bad job of playing the pick and roll. Somebody I trust in that situation I don't have in RDH Hulk. And we're doing things that's uncharacteristic of how we would normally do it. Like I said, I don't have a full roster, and it's kind of costing me later in the season than it did earlier in the season. And that's just because teams that have a chance to see how we play at this point. All the teams that's going to stick it out and play for the rest of the season, they still there now. All the teams that was going to drop out, for the most part, is dropping out, and that's only been one team, which is crazy work. So everybody else has had a chance to play against each other, which means when it comes down to the playoffs, it's just about watching film and strategizing how you want to go about playing against that team. The way the playoffs is going to work, it has to hurt. Like, it has to hurt to lose that series. So everything is going to be a best of 5, and the finals is going to be a best of 7. Now, eventually, if I can get it correctly, I'm probably going to have every series be a best of 7. It has to hurt. And that's why I want people to put so much money into it, because if you put that type of time and energy into it, you're going to get the most out of it, especially season after season after season. If you lose to a team, if you get swept by a team, that's going to hurt. But let's say you lose game 7 to a team. It's going to work you to the very next season until you back in that same situation. And you ain't going to be able to wait to play against them the very next season. That's how it go. And that's what it should be about. That building those type of relationships, having everybody talk about it, you know, like, it'll mean a lot. So right there, the clock ran out. We're going to go into overtime. What's better than extra period? So, like, overtime, we both know how each other play at this point. And I'm going to be honest with y'all. Based off what I've seen, this team is better than us. Especially if I'm going to go with this. If we're going to play like this team is better than us. New Religion is a better team than us. Now, if we're going to play our normal style of basketball, then we should have beat this team by at least 8, both games we played. We should have beat them by 8, at least. That wasn't the case because we didn't play our best game. You know, we took this pick and roll every time they got the switch that they wanted. You know, Massico, who is a superstar, made us pay for it. And that just comes down to execution. We could have took away a lot more threes just by playing discipline. We did a poor job just reaching. You know, that was one of the very few times the floor spacing was actually right. But, I mean, we essentially just played down to their level. And if we're going to do that against these teams, we're going to lose to them. All right, we got a few important games coming up. We got to play Trey Barnes twice, and we got to play Unrestricted twice. All right, the game in the middle against Ball and Peace, I'm not as worried about. I expect us to beat them, you know, pretty convincingly, but essentially they play just like New Religion. I just don't think their center is as good. So if we fall this last week of the season and we can't beat none of these teams, that just pretty much tells me where I'm at and where we need to work at. I do still think we're the best team in the world, but I think we're the best team if we just stick to the game plan. Alright, the game plan is we don't need a center. You know, everybody got to be able to shoot and dunk. And then everybody has to play defense. You know, if we stick to that style, I think that's the toughest style for any team to beat, which is why it works. And we might shock the world and win a championship. But we're not going to do that, and people are going to play as individuals, caring about their stats, caring about things that don't matter. We're going to lose. we're gonna lose. And you know what? It'll be the second time that we have had a chance to do something special and we didn't come through with it just because we got in our own way. Alright? What I would love to have happen from here is to get a little bit more consistency as far as who's going to play. Somebody who's my best scorer, which is Montage, if you notice, he has not really been playing in none of these games or none of these videos I've been putting out. He actually got banned for a week. So he's not like banned from 2K. He's not able to play. So that's a good, 20 to 25 points that I don't have access to. And to replace it, like I said, we have to play perfect defense, and it's a lot of stuff we got to do to replace that. I can't replace anything that RDH Hawk does. My best replacement for that would be Cincy, and like I said, Cincy only plays on the weekends. I wish I could have him a little bit more available. Loco, who's a talented player, has to quit thinking about taking these matchups personal. Jamaica, who's a talented player, has to quit caring so much about personal accolades. D-Mac has to get better at the system as a whole. There's a lot that goes into it. We did pull out this win, and I'm glad for that, but we got to be better moving forward, or else you're going to hear me make a video with me cussing out my whole team. And, at the end of the day, it's for entertainment. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm out.